This is the BrickCity Podcast with your host, Maki. We've got some great topics to talk about today. With us again today is Mr. Wares, who is coming to terms with how much he will have to spend with the recent news of additional cards in BT11. My thoughts and prayers are with your wallet. We also have a new guest today, a fashion designer from New Zealand, DedotatedWam. Welcome to BrickCity Podcast, and when will your next piece of work be unveiled to the public?
Oh, I'm hoping to unveil it soon. It's coming out on the red carpet, guys.
Got it. I will let you know I am going to put that shirt up on display in the podcast.
Oh, I really hope you don't.
Oh God!
You know, I told some of my my close friends who are not in the community about that, and I can tell you right now, I just got some silent head shakes.
We're getting canceled.
Yeah, well, at least I am.
Dude, have you seen the news? Fashion is, it's up to the individual.
It's big business, man. Kanye was broke until he launched his clothing line.
Yeah.
He's apparently married now, but that's not important or pertaining to what we're talking about today.
True. What we are talking today is it worth it?
So when it comes to the worth of Digimon, I guess we probably need to define what worth is, right? Because you could always make the argument of the real Digimon is the friends I made along the way, right?
Yes.
And
Or
I
money.
told them, "Hey."
Yeah, but I think when it comes to worth, obviously monetary value, unless you're making money off of it, which I think even like card store owners would be pretty skeptical on anybody saying they make money off of Digimon. I'd say in terms of monetary value, it's probably not. So it's sort of just the friendships that you make where the actual worth is, or like the enjoyment you get out of the game.
Well, I don't know, because Andrew's still in quite the positive right now, so I think it's a fair assessment to say it's been pretty worth it for him.
That's
Well,
true.
yeah, actually, yeah, I heard from the last episode.
It's true. I'm not gonna lie. If this is a continuous sinking hobby for me, I might not continue.
Yeah, I mean,
Positive, you mean?
Sorry, say it one more time.
You mean like you might not continue being positive, or you might not continue?
If I can't be positive, then I might have to just step away. Because, like I keep telling people, I've got a family to feed.
Fair enough. I do not.
I mean, the worth of it, I probably wouldn't know any of you guys if it went for Digimon, right? Like, I think when I first started getting into it was, I think around maybe June of 2021. I just got a couple of, like, the original started decks because I'd like seen some stuff online. Digimon was like a huge part of my childhood. I grew up watching like season 2. I had like Vmon and Hawkmon toys when I was a little kid, and so when I was like, oh, Digimon has a card game, sick, I want to play that. And then like I got some cards. Me and my brother played just with like the starter decks. And like we were probably really bad. But then I think my brother bought a booster box of 1.0 and booster box of Great Legends. Like he still has those cards, and he could not make a single deck with any of the cards that are in that anymore. But I think after that, I just went on a spending spree of like buying up Digimon stuff because it was relatively easy to get because it was still relatively new over here in terms of like there weren't many players, so I was able to get like I think I got 4 boxes of 1.5 and 1.0. I got a bunch of those like the promo packs where you got like the alt art Rise Greymon, the yellow Rise Greymon.
Oh, that
those
one.
ones, okay.
Yeah, I bought like a bunch of those, and I think those packs were seeded as well because I got most of my alt arts and like secret rares from the early sets from that alone.
Jesus.
Just because obviously trying to pull secrets, supers and alts from the original 1.0 and 1.3, 1.5 was extremely difficult just because of the card pool being like 3 sets mashed into 2. I didn't even end up getting all commons, uncommons, and rares from the amount of just product that I bought. I still had to buy singles. So like in terms of is it worth it? Initially, startup capital for getting into Digimon is quite steep. I think you make it back in other aspect later on pretty quickly.
I think I have to agree on that one, because I remember literally starting off when the game just popped off, and if you would have asked me maybe within the first 3 sets of the game, I would probably have said maybe not, because the demand's really high and the supply is really low. I remember struggling to find Rust Tyrannomons of all things, and don't ask me how much I spent on the original Omnimon when the game first came out. That was a nightmare. But I do genuinely think if you were to ask me now, which we are, I would say yeah, it's totally worth it, because it's really easy to keep that balance and that positive financial mentality about it, especially with all these events that are going on right now that give you that opportunity to get those really high-end alt art cards like the Imperial Dramon Fighter mode and the Vmon, the XVmon. I think I'm missing the ultimate off the top of my head and I can't figure out what it's called for the death of me.
Paildramon.
Aildramon, there we go. But yeah, like, those alt arts alone make you quite a pretty penny.
These are actually some very good points, because I'm not gonna lie, when I immediately thought, is it worth the price, I completely forgot about there are aspects that we can't really quantify, like the community, right? Like Tim said, I would not have met a lot of people here. I know, for example, Alex, right? I only met him through Digimon from Elvin, so outside of this, I probably would not have met him. That's actually a very good point.
Yeah, so it's give and take, right? Like, I guess when you're trying to quantify overall worth, it's like, is the amount of money worth everything else that I've gotten back? I mean, I have a feeling I'm the only person across the border that you guys are friends with, and I don't think that would have happened, right, if all of us weren't, like, in Digimon.
That's very true.
I don't think so.
I mean, the other thing we also have to thank for that is you know, the big C. Well, I guess the little C. I don't know, it's not really the big C, but like that forced online tournament, right?
Oh, yes.
I was thinking of something completely different.
That's why I quantified with little C, because it's not really the big C. I realized that I messed up as soon as I said it. But yeah, the Wingdings C, it forced online play, and that's how I met one of the other, you know, mods of BrickCity, and then he invited me here, and here I am, almost 2 years later.
Gosh, it's really been that long.
Yeah.
For all the problems with the lockdowns and online play, I'm actually thankful for it. Because looking right now, with the lockdowns gone, and they're starting to do more regionals in person, and I look at all the costs associated. So for example, here in Ontario, we had a regionals at the CNE. And when I found out you had to pay for parking, Toronto parking of all things, pay for venue fees, and then the tournament, I was like, all right, I'm out. It reminds me of flashbacks from when I didn't have a job and trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Just can't do it.
I remember, like, regionals would cost me, like, just to get in, I think at the time was around $34. Parking for the whole day came out to, like, roughly around $20, and then, you know, factoring gas and all that. It's a pretty costly thing to go to an event in person. And I think, you know, we kind of took the online scene for granted, because we got so comfortable with this whole, oh, okay, wake up at 8, 9 o'clock, start the event, simply have a webcam, make sure your hands are on the screen, play, don't cheat, or if you cheat, make sure you don't get away with it. No, hold on. Make sure you get away with it.
You've been around Alex for too long.
Yeah, I know. You know, you play these events. Oh, what's that? You finish your event early? Cool, go take a break. Go to the washroom. It's right beside you. It's in your house. Go grab a snack. You're great. When you're in these events in person, it's like you might not have that ability to. Sometimes you gotta pay $10-15 just to grab like whatever's close to you food-wise. Washroom might be like 10-minute walk away from where the venue you're at. You know, there's a lot of these changes we don't take into consideration of.
Yeah, and I definitely think the biggest cost when it comes to an in-person event is definitely the time invest, right? It's the money is one thing, but it's the time, right? Like I was saying, the Oceania Nationals, there is no barrier for entry. Anybody can sign up for it as long as there's, you know, like a free space for you to actually, you know, purchase entry. But the cost for me is that I would have to take time off work, fly to a different country, you know, pay for accommodation there, and then attend the event, which I'm also paying to attend. And, you know, I don't really play with a lot of people over in my region except for the people that I go to locals with. So I'm not going to know anybody there. I'm probably not going to have a particularly good time at whatever convention center it's being held in outside of when I'm playing. And if I don't do particularly well, then it'll probably seem like a pretty bad investment in the game. So online tournaments were great for me, at least. I always really enjoyed them. But yeah, it's just the time sink over the money sink, really.
Speaking of that, something to keep in mind, I was actually talking about this yesterday at Locals because, well, so far for North American Nationals, they've confirmed that some Digimon museum thing is going to be one of the booths at the convention, and they're going to give out some free promos. It looks like right now it's confirmed it's not cards, it's just artwork kind of stuff. So I won't lie, I already told Alex that I'm going to bring like a couple different shirts, sunglasses, to just keep repeating the booth and just taking as much as I can, and hopefully that'll help me recoup costs.
Now, do we know what kind of artwork we might be looking at?
Yes,
I am low-key hoping for a Machine Dramon.
Yes, there is a Machine Dramon, I believe. If you check in Facebook, I'll put a screen grab for the people listening to the podcast, but they did show some of the artwork. So I think I saw Machine Dramon. There was the BT1 Omnimon art, and it looks like it's not... The artwork's bigger than a card. So think of, you know those Pokemon Jumbo cards? It's about that size.
Oh, interesting.
but just artwork. So there's no card stuff. It's just the full art by itself.
Oh, so it's kind of like a square print.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Oh shoot, I didn't know about this. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask for one.
I'll try to get as much as I can for you.
Sweet.
So I think another thing we should probably think about when it comes to whether it's worth the price or not is it worth participating in regionals or Ultimate Cup if you don't place 128 or better?
I think
Yeah. Oh no, I was gonna say. I was just saying that is it's a very good point, because obviously when you're entering these tournaments, especially if it's like an online tournament in North America, they're very quickly sold out, which means there is at minimum, like 500 people participating, right? Which means that if you're not placing 128, which is where I think, isn't that the first bracket for prizing outside of participation? That means that there's 374 people at minimum not getting anything more than just entry, right? That's when you look at it specifically just like that, you would probably think it's not particularly good. And I've played tournaments where I'm not playing meta. I didn't particularly want to. And I've done well, and I've also done very poorly that way. You know, sometimes when you play off meta, it confuses your opponent, and they don't do particularly well against it. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, if you're not playing at your best, it's a huge sunk cost.
I think personally, and it's kind of funny because I wouldn't be saying this if it weren't for the sheer fact, Tim, of what you mentioned at the beginning of this video, is I guess it's really dependent on your reasoning for wanting to participate in the event. I know tons of people who participate. Let me try again. I know a ton of people who participate in the events solely so they can interact and see the people who they haven't seen in a while. I know people who go full sweaty tryhard mode where they bring the most competitive, well-tuned deck they can possibly conceive. They have been grinding over and over and over and over and over again to get it absolutely perfect, and they want to just jump in there, grab the highest possible rank they can, and take as much prizing as they can just to recoup the costs. There's so many different reasons for why you'd want to participate. I know personally for me, I think even if I didn't get 128, I think I'd still consider it a success or worth it to participate to begin with. Just because, you know, you're going to be spending that time with friends. That's kind of more the way I think I would want to look at it. But that also does come from the perspective of somebody who plays non-meta or just arguably aggressive rogue deck. I know, Andrew, you might have a different opinion to why you'd want to participate in Ultimate Cups or regional events.
Well, as I keep talking to more and more people, and, you know, my fiance tells me more and more things, I realize that my way of thinking might not be considered normal. So, like, you're right. For me, if I'm not going to place 120 or better, I'm not going to participate in Ultimate Cup or Regionals. But I feel that that's more of partially because of the cost, but second is, even when I play games like MapleStory, right? I wouldn't just go, hey, let's start and play. I would spend a couple hours, maybe a couple of days, researching, all right, what classes exist? What class do I want to play? What are the branches? What are the skills? And I plan out the first 50 levels immediately. So when I play, there's very room for deviation. I have a plan. I do just that.
It's so funny you brought up MapleStory, and I just got like that ping of nostalgia. I remember playing that game in the beginning and just grinding unendingly, playing Fire Poison Mage. And that was like, in my eyes, the only class. Clearly, I am very one-trick pony. Especially now with Digimon, where I'm only playing black decks. I pick one thing and I stick with it. So it's really entertaining that you somehow brought that up, and it kind of made me realize that.
It's true.
I think I may have missed the boat on MapleStory. I think I'm a little bit too young for that one. I have played it, but I think I played it when
it was bad.
What were they? Nah, not so much when it was bad. I think it was really on the Cygnus Knights. That's the one. Yeah.
Wow, that's
when
scary.
I joined. Yeah, that was the one where they were like the white robed, like sort of just alterations to existing classes, right?
Yeah, they were kind of like reskinned, revamped versions of like classes that people weren't super big on. So like they had the Fire Poison Mage, but like the Cygnus Knight version was the pure Fire Mage, where I think the first thing you got was like your fire arrow that could hit 3 people at once, whereas at that time I think Fire Poison Mages could only hit 1 target. But we're not a MapleStory podcast, let's not get that confused.
Yeah. It's a nice flashback though.
No kidding.
Great times. Well, in this case, alright, let's move away from tournaments. What about at this point in time, if we were to buy older sets? So like, if you had a choice to buy the 1.5 booster box, or EX1 or BT6, would you do it? If not, what price is the cutoff for you to say yes?
I don't think I would purchase anything prior to BT9, just because a lot of those cards for the whole set aren't worth a whole lot. Obviously, secret rares for most sets, except for the BT8, most of those secret rares are still worth quite a bit, but one, there's no guarantee you're going to get that, and two, every other card in that set is worth less than what you paid for the box. So if we're just talking about raw money, it's not worth it to buy anything pre-BT9.
See, I kind of have to disagree to a certain degree, because, you know, Bandai has shown pretty consistently now that, sure, certain cards from older sets, they're going to fall off. It's how every game works. They do the rollover where certain top-tier decks fade from existence, and then here comes the big bad toys, you know? What have you. But I think it would still be beneficial to grab at least certain sets just to ensure that you do get those certain staple cards that would ensure that future decks will be a lot easier to make, right? Like, let's take Vmon, for example. That thing has been from BT3, the jamming one.
Yep.
Now, that is a rookie that has, like, kind of withstood the test of time, and I use that term very loosely considering how Digimon is still a fairly young TCG game as far as TCG games go. But what I do want to make note of is it is still a card that does see play even to this point. There are always going to be cards in different sets that will provide certain play that are always going to be considered staples at one point in time for future decks. Now, I do agree BT9 is probably your baseline, where if you're just getting to the game, your best bet's probably to start there. But if you're kind of in the scene of trying to collect cards and have these cards available for when newer cards come out, I would probably say that would probably be in your best interest to start hunting older sets, especially because the prices of the cards you might be looking for, although they won't be super high end and you might be better off buying the singles right up, finding singles for cards whose prices have plummeted can always be a really big struggle for Digimon. And I think it's just easier just to say, screw it, bite the bullet, pick the set, the box that you want to purchase, because sure, you're not guaranteed to grab those specific cards, but at the very least, if you're grabbing BT3, for example, or a 1.5 box, you might pick up Lilithmons, which even now are still kind of being used. Pick up jamming Vmons. You can get Ragnalords, which, yes, arguably are not competitive, but they're still a very fun, strong rogue deck that we're still seeing in today. Whereas, you know, it may have fallen off already when it kind of was overshadowed by Jesmon on the release.
I get the point you're trying to say, right? But maybe those specific examples might not be as accurate, because I think about this, right? So the Lilithmon example, maybe 3-4 months ago that would be accurate, but since we know that Lilithmon is getting a reprint in the 25th anniversary that's coming out in March, you know, the one with the alt art hybrids, I don't think you need to buy 1.5 for anymore. Ragnarlord, like you said, right? I'm pretty sure if you were to just check locals, they'll probably have it, and they will never put on a showcase because no one's going to buy it. And even for the Gemming Vmons, you're absolutely right that it still sees play. And if it wasn't for the news that came out today, I would agree with you. But those Jamming Vmons are getting reprinted as participation packs for the upcoming tournament packs and winner pack as well.
Yeah, I was actually just about to bring that up. The jamming Vmon is probably the best example of why you might want to purchase, and even Davis to a certain extent, why you might want to purchase an old box. But Davis, you are guaranteed to get a Davis in if you purchase the structure deck. And anybody who's trying to get into the game, I would absolutely recommend starting with getting structure decks, because they do always have good cards, especially the more recent structure decks that they've had after the first run. Up to the first 6, like the All Force and the Gallantmon ones, they had the memory boosts, right? The Jesmon and Ragnar ones, they had the reprints of certain tamers. And even though only, I'd say maybe only 2 of those tamers are actually playable or widely played in decks and their certain... Yeah, Izzy and Davis, right? Yeah. The other ones, not so much, but those 2, they might be harder to get. Izzy's from Great Legend, quite an old set now. I think my local stores may still have 1 or 2 boxes, but yeah, the Davis, like that card was $20 for ages. And I don't even think the original printing has gone down by much since the reprint. That's how valuable that card is. But yeah, the Jamming Vmon, being reprinted, and it's been reprinted multiple times, right? There was the Ultimate Cup one, and this goes back to a previous point of, the 128 pricing, because that was pricing for getting top 128. Then there's this participation one, for whatever, I can't remember what that was for, but there was just announced a new alt art for the Jamming VMon.
25th anniversary?
No, it's for
25th anniversary.
No. So the VMons are going to be for just
20th.
No, you just attend your locals participation, you get it.
Oh, nice, cool. Well then, yeah. I mean that's, and I'd say people having access to this Jamming VMon is not detrimental to the game in any way. I think it's positive overall when they reprint cards, especially staple cards like this. And I mean, obviously with the reprint set, hopefully we get that. I'd say it's a good way for people just to maybe see the value in something like Digimon, and maybe we'll get a larger player base. But yeah, I think older sets themselves, if you're trying to get individual cards, it's not worth it buying box.
We always hope to pull the secret rares. BT4 we had, was it Lucamon in BT4?
There was 3.
There was 3. There was Lucamon, Ancient Greymon, Ancient Garurumon.
Okay. And in there he also had Blinding Light, I think it was, as a staple. For 1.5, that box is littered with staples. Would you consider it worth it? Because I guess that was kind of the conclusion to my prior argument was, would you agree that it would be beneficial when you're trying to fish for multiple staples?
Yeah, maybe. I guess it depends on what it is that you're, well, that and also what it is that you're actually trying to get, right? Because if someone's wanting to get like the alt art Blackwall Greymon, it's the secret rare one. It's a beautiful card. It's probably one of the best alt arts in the game still to this day, along with its partner.
From BT2.
Yeah, along with the regular BT1 Wargreymon alt art. Like, those are probably 2 of the best alt arts to this day still. If you're trying to get that, I'd say maybe don't buy a bunch of 1.5 boxes, because 1, you're not guaranteed to even get the regular Black Wargreymon, and so it's not even a chance really that you'll get the alt art. And 2, it's 1.5 sets crammed in, so there's not even a chance that you'll get the stuff that you're actually looking for as well, outside of anything else. Like, I'm looking at the cards from 1.5, and I'm trying to see what could be considered staples. Like, maybe, I see the Davis original Mastemon, maybe, for those who are spicy with their current Mastemons. A Delicate Plan, absolutely a staple, but also it's an uncommon, right? No one should be charging more than, I don't know, maybe $1 for this.
You're generous. I would say like 25 cents.
Exactly, right? It's an uncommon. There's never been any sort of reprint where it's a higher rarity, so it can't be worth much. Not many people play the original Ultra S, and I don't think people will play it much in the the EX4 Ultra S deck?
That kind of caters towards that specific Ultra S.
Right? Yeah. So if you're trying to be spicy with it, the original Ragnar stuff came from this set, but out of it, I think most people only use the Raiji Ludamon because most people prefer to play a black base over the red base. Yeah, I don't know. When you're talking about staples, I feel like you're catering more to Andrew with his security control.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Because this has Holy Wave, it has, was it Eden's Javelin?
Oh, Magna Angemon is BT1.
Magna Angemon is BT1, and that was 1.0. But yeah, it's got I'd say two of the cards that are played most often when it comes to security control.
So I think it's safe to say that yes, it is generally not.
It's not, yeah, and I mean you definitely bring up some great points with why you might want to get an older set. But I'd say if people are just starting to get into the game now, if they're wanting to get cards from older sets, there will always be people who are selling. Whether or not they're selling at a reasonable price is irrelevant. There will always be people who are selling. I'd say the way that Bandai does generic reprint of cards through either Tamer Evolution boxes or tournament packs, like I'd say that's probably one of the better ways to distribute reprint. Even though it's not like an actual bar for bar reprint, it's usually an alt art. When those alt arts come out, it just means that the original printing goes down in value, right? So newer players who don't really care about max rarity, they can purchase original art from older sets for cheaper because all of the older players are trying to max rarity their current deck with, the new tournament pack stuff. Yeah, we've got the whale over there who buys every tournament pack he can.
Whoa, I'll have you know that's a great movie.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, I think can you guys think of any decks that are prominent in today's meta that are significant pulls from older decks? Like what's going crazy in the meta in Canada right now?
Honestly, mainly comes down to, at least within North America's play styles, it's all promo cards. Like, what are the big essential cards in a lot of top tier decks, right? You have the promo Akuamon, you have the promo Wergururu, the promo Grandis, even like to a degree the promo Alterius mode. I feel like your big grabs now are more in the promos than in the boxes themselves, just to cater towards competitive play. Oh, and the promo Garurumon that lets you draw a card.
Actually, I heard someone make a very good point about Metal Garurumon X decks, and that you can keep promo Garurumon. That's not the killer. The killer is actually just the promo Garurumon, the one that allows you to just constantly draw, because that's where the deck finds its pieces, right? So
yeah.
I think that's actually a very good point. Like, if they're trying to kneecap Melga, they need to get rid of the promo Garurumon. The Garurumon can stay, because that's not the biggest problem with it, which I thought was quite interesting. I'd never really thought of it from that angle. But yeah, a lot of the decks nowadays, their hinge pieces are the promo cards, and a lot of them are actually very early promos, besides Grandis with the promo Akuamon, but that's equally as difficult to get, because everybody and their mums is trying to hold on to them, because the deck is still playable, 3 sets on, which is not something that Bandai typically, tries to do. They like to, have people purchase new product very quickly, going so far as to kneecap a card in the middle of its meta with Crossheart.
Oh, I thought this was a Duru Grey reference.
Doro Greymon, they got their time in the light. That was in the middle of the BT9 meta. They got the full meta.
I don't know, man.
Exactly what it was.
I feel like this went playing Pokemon VGCs, where I was a Snorlax and I got low kicked.
Well, I have a feeling that with the I was actually because I recently built this deck, the Dark Daimon deck. I have a feeling they might actually limit the original Skull Knightmon, just because of the immediate aggressive value that card gives, and with the support that they're getting in future sets with the Dark Knights, Grey Knightsmon like stuff.
That bloody card, I swear.
I mean, it's not going to be played. It'll, like, the Skull Knightmon will, because it gives reboot, right? But I reckon, like, that card will probably be limited or banned, just because it's the same as Doro Grey, Sec +1, right? And you can just slot it under.
I think Doro Grey's I think it's a bit different here, because Doro Grey got hit not because of just the inheritable Sec +1. It was
the protection.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I forgot about that. Because I haven't come up against an Alphamon player in so long, because the Bandai basically just got rid of the deck entirely.
Wait, black is top tier? None.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Ooh, something also interesting is, do you think it's worth it to get TCG accessories? So deck boxes, cases, playmat bags, stuff like that.
I don't know if I have a leg to stand on here. I have a lot of deck boxes. Whenever I go to my locals, I might just buy an extra deck box, because I'm like, I'm thinking of building this, but I don't really want to dismantle any of my current deck. I have, let me count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I have 8 deck boxes, and then I have another multi-deck box that can hold like 2 or 3. And it's because I just don't want to get rid of anything. Like, I think at the moment I've currently got Machindramon, Eosmon, Diaboromon, Blue Flare, Crossheart, Bloomlord, Dark Knight, and Ragnarlord, right? I've got those 8 decks built right now. And I don't actively play with all of them, but they're all there in case I do want to play.
I feel like in a way you kind of did just answer the question, is it worth it? And honestly, yeah, it kind of is, especially when you're taking into account that nobody jumps into a TCG game and just plays one deck.
No.
If people start off that way when they're learning the ropes, they want to make sure whether or not they want to commit. But I feel like when you become invested in any kind of card game, and this is coming from somebody who's playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different TCGs. The storage is number one. If you don't have storage, you end up with piles everywhere of just different mix-matching cards. You end up with Vanguard in your Magic. It becomes a nightmare. And people who know me at locals know I have a big hive that I use to hold just 5 of my Digimon decks at any point in time. And then I have another super hive that I just use for my Magic decks. And every single deck box that I have purchased over the years has been used into the ground.
That's another good point you bring up, like taking multiple deck boxes with you to your local, right? Because when you play at locals, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but for me, like, I'm not friends with a lot of them like outside of the store. Chat to a couple of them, and I see them at other stores maybe. But a lot of them only go to like maybe the one store, and one or two of them maybe go to a different store that I also go to. Like we'll play the locals tournament, and then in between rounds, maybe we're just like, hey man, I know I'm playing this deck for the rounds, but I also have this other deck that I think is really fun. Do you just want to have a fun match, right? If you weren't putting money into, the accessories to keep that, no one's taking cards to a locals in a bag, right? No one's got a little Ziploc bag full of, unsleeved cards, so you take multiple deck boxes with a bunch of different decks because you want to have fun as well as, compete.
And I think that there you also mentioned a really critical thing. We're going to answer the really, really dumb question in the room here, and is it worth it to buy sleeves for your deck? Well, that depends. Do you want how long do you want to keep playing that deck, right? The sleeves are always going to be there to help preserve the condition of your card. And
the intrinsic value of the cardboard you are using is up to the individual, but if to you those cards have value, worth it to protect them. Some people go overboard. I have a friend who plays a different TCG, he plays Final Fantasy, and he triple sleeves his cards. He's mental, but
I do that too.
Whoa, hold on, careful there, sir. You are in a room with people who care very dearly for their cards.
Oh, please tell me you don't
I do.
sleeve your decks.
I 100% do.
Andrew, your deck is security control. I want that thing to crumple as you shuffle it. Take them out of the third sleeve.
No, there's the perfect sleeve, then there's the Joey Wheeler sleeve, then there's the outer sleeve to protect Joey Wheeler.
Oh my god. The only cards that I triple sleeve are my Ultimate Cup Demi-Vs. Those are the only cards I triple sleeve, and that's because those cards, to me, are actually valuable. Those are the only cards I see.
His babies?
Yeah. But yeah, he triple sleeves all of his decks, and they are so difficult to shuffle. And anytime he's like, I gotta make an alteration to the deck, he's like, he honestly sighs, because he's like, I've got to take so many cards out of their 3 sleeve and then re-sleeve those cards in 3 different sleeves.
Well, one thing to... Yep.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I just wanted to throw this one in because there is another reason as to why I triple sleeve with my decks. These are not pertaining to Digimon. I have long since learned triple sleeving every single deck, especially when you play as many decks as I. It's maddening, but for those who don't know, I'm a rather big person. I have very large hands. Playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With their tiny little cardboard stock, I triple sleeve it just so that way I could have some, I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to, some girth. I need the cards to be a little bit bigger because they're so tiny, I feel like I would crush it. So I triple sleeve, so it's not worth it. I would not say to ever do that, but it does make it significantly more comfortable for me to shuffle the deck.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. I completely understand that because I did play Yu-Gi-Oh for a minute back in the day, and moving from, because Yu-Gi-Oh was actually my first card game, moving from Yu-Gi-Oh to Digimon, I was like, man, these cards are so much bigger. To the point where when I would double sleeve decks, because I had some custom card art made up. Sleeve art made up, and I didn't want to like damage them. I would double sleeve them in over sleeves, and I found it really difficult to shuffle them at first because my hands were so used to like small Yu-Gi-Oh cards, where it was easy, to the point where I stopped playing that deck because I just felt like I couldn't do it. I've gotten a lot better over the years because I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh because it's difficult, and I think it's just I think standard sized cards in a triple sleeve, very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, what I was going to say was that when it comes to sleeves, granted, I think if you're playing to play at locals, as long as it's not playing with friends, right? At locals, it's pretty much mandatory you have to play with sleeves because it's potential to wear and tear. It could be marking the sleeves, so that's one thing. So regardless if it's worth the price or not, you have to get sleeves. In regards to triple sleeving, I only do it when it comes to the cards actually have value, and like monetary value, not sentimental value. And then if the sleeve are custom sleeves that actually look really good. So that's why Joey Wheeler, I don't feel like buying another set, so I keep it safe. And plus, it feels nice that when someone hits security and, I flip with a Joey Wheeler face and it's like, oh, chaos degrade, sorry buddy. Like, just that feeling makes it worth the price.
Boy, we're going to have to put a photo of your Joey Wheeler sleeves on the podcast so people can figure out what you're talking about. But I think just moving along the accessories here, when it comes to dice as an accessory, buy one. If you're just in it for the TCG, just buy one D6 or one D20. Make sure your D20 is not a roundup. Or if you plan on playing and exploring other games, buy an assorted set. That way, if you want to play D&D, you're golden. Costs you about $15, but I guarantee you, it'll be worth it. Playmats, I feel like they're non-negotiable because even if you go ahead and you sleeve up your deck perfectly, playing those sleeves on some dirty tables and then going home and wondering why all your cards are stuck together, where all this gunk come from, I feel like playmats just aren't negotiable. You have to play them.
I agree with that. I know recently I bought actually TCG bag to put everything in because I just felt like using the normal bag. Too many things were jostling around.
So what do you mean sort of thing? Wasn't jostling around like the playmat itself, or?
No, like the hive that I had, same thing. That was moving around the binder, and there was also, I think, it was really stretching the outer limit of what I could carry in a traditional bag. I'll put a picture of the bag I got from Amazon, but this one is just more compact and everything just fits neatly. It's hard to explain, but when I put the picture up, you'll see what I mean.
Oh, okay. Oh, there was one more thing I was thinking about off the top of my head, and now it's escaped me.
Oh, the hives?
Of accessories, or?
It was when it comes to hives. No, actually, it was the sleeves. Because I know this is going to be like the War of the Worlds topic here. What are people's go-to for sleeves that we consider worth it? Because for me personally, it's always been Dragon Shield.
I don't like official Bandai character sleeves. Like on my Cross Art deck, I have the Shoutmon sleeves because I think the art is really good, but the feel of the sleeves is very bad. It is a very bad feeling sleeve. When you shuffle it, you can feel that you're only a couple of shuffles away from splitting one of the sleeves. Dragon Shield is probably the best sleeve that I've ever actually used, and I've used a couple of different brands. I don't know if some of them are exclusive to OCE, but I have used other brands, and Dragon Shields just feel the best.
I feel like somewhere out there someone's screaming right out into the night, screaming out Katana, but I don't think
I've ever heard of that brand, so it might not be over here. That might be why.
Andrew, have you ever used Katana sleeves? Would you say it's more worth it price-wise over Dragon Shield, or?
No, I haven't used it. But the only reason I haven't used it is because I think Katana only has 50 sleeves. Dragon Shield gives 100.
Good point. Dragon Shield always gives a large amount of sleeves.
And they usually give 3 extra too, so it's like 103.
Correct.
Yeah, it's never exactly 100. It's at minimum 100, but sometimes you'll get maybe 1 to 4.
I know for me, I use Dragon Shields when it's pre-release, or if I'm just using a deck for the first time, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna keep using it, just to test it out. Otherwise, for any decks that I know that I'll be using, either as main or as a counter pick, I would use custom sleeves of some sort. So either the official, Sonya sleeves or Nessa sleeves, or some very lewd sleeve that I just feel like doing just to, because.
And this is now a 18+ podcast.
Yeah, I've been trying my hardest. I mean, obviously, you know where I live, so I've been trying my hardest not to curse, guys.
Yo, me too. Not a single F-bomb yet.
We were so close to making this work.
Yeah.
And now we've been canceled.
Lewd is not profanity.
Keep telling yourself that, Andrew.
Alright.
There's going to be one small child listening to this podcast who's going to go to his mom and be like, what does lewd mean?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I saw a very funny meme where, the traditional joke where it's like a kid asks their parent, where do babies come from? But in this meme, the mom responds with Amazon.
Oh my god.
Oh god. That is you know what? Okay, I swear to god this is not an intentional segue, but is it cheaper to buy accessories off Amazon or just through locals?
Okay, give me some examples. Which ones are you talking about?
So we had this conversation when Kevin was on the podcast about outer sleeves. Now, I know for a fact that Amazon sells a 10-pack, 100 sleeves in each one on Amazon. You can buy a 10-pack for, oh god, I can't remember the price, but I think afterwards you might save on the tax. Is it better to buy like in bulk from, let's say, Amazon, or is it just better to buy like the single packs that you need from your locals?
You want to tackle this first, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not the best person to even discuss this because in terms of like online delivery, we have like one. We don't have Amazon over here. I think Australia has Amazon, and we can get stuff delivered from Amazon Australia. But for the most part, we have a single online, like store that's similar to Amazon, and that is predominantly where I buy my matte, sort of sleeves, like just the non-graphic sleeves. So if I'm just wanting sleeves for when I'm putting stuff in a binder, that's probably where I'll get, like, maybe I might buy 6 boxes all at once. And I'm gonna be honest, they're not particularly cheap, but if I'm going to a locals or a pre-release, I'll probably just buy some like a box of sleeves from there, and I think it's the same price. I think most stores are pretty good at keeping a level price. No one's more expensive than the other because everybody knows where to get everything, right? Everyone has an online store, so they're like, oh, if it's $18 here, but it's $16 here, then I'll just buy it from here because I can either go there and buy it for $16, or I can have it delivered, and it's only a couple of dollars extra for the delivery, and maybe it may as well just buy a few more things while I'm at it. I think the only way it would be different if you're purchasing online or in store is like if you're bold enough to try and haggle. I don't know if you guys do that over there. It's not particularly a large, it's not particularly big or practiced over here, but I guess you could say to the store owner, hey man, I'll buy like 10 boxes if you knock $2 off each of them, and maybe they'll do that. But yeah, not I wouldn't say buying off of one of the other is better or worse.
I think the most they've ever done for me is they've like bit the tax, but like
that's the biggest difference between our countries, I guess. Tax is included on every purchase you make. You don't have to figure it out yourself.
Man, what am I doing here?
So while you were answering that, I was checking Amazon. In some cases, I believe Kevin is right. It is cheaper to buy online. Especially like you mentioned, right? If you buy like a pack of 10 or something like that, it makes sense. But likewise, if you don't spend time looking around, you could see something like, KMC perfect size fits for $32. Or even Dragon Shield, that would range between, I think, what lowest I saw was 17, the highest I saw was, let's see here, $20. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Dragon Shield like just a normal pack of 100 sleeves close to $10 in locals?
Around $10 to $12, yeah.
Exactly.
Unless you're buying like the premium print ones that have like the special backgrounds, but nobody really looks at those unless you got Batman on it. But
yeah, no, I'm talking about just single color, like tangerine, matte yellow.
10 to $12, depending on if you're buying the classic, the gloss, or the matte.
Yeah, so I think in most cases it's not worth grabbing on Amazon. Not to mention you'll need Amazon Prime to make sure you don't have to pay shipping. In terms of haggling, you know me, I love to haggle, but I have never haggled for sleeves. I've thought about it, which is I would just go to the store and say, okay, I'll buy an entire case worth of sleeves. What can you throw in for me? But so far, I've never had to spend cash on sleeves, just because, outer sleeves or perfect fit, just because I say, hey, use my tournament winnings to give me sleeves instead of booster packs.
Oh yeah, that is an alternative that, does also help towards deciding whether or not it's actually worth it to purchase these things. Having that store credit available.
Mm-hmm. Actually, this is a good segue. If you had a choice, either it be locals pricing or if you were to buy, would you ever think it's worth the price to buy single packs or just buy the box itself?
Ooh.
I feel like that would depend, right? Because I guess if a set newly released and you don't have any of the cards, a single pack is not going to get you much. 6 individual packs is not going to get you much. But if you're buying just the whole box, you know that you have guaranteed pulls. They might not be the pulls that you want, but you're guaranteed to get a set amount of pulls. And there's 12 cards in a pack. I think 6 commons, 4 uncommons, and then 2 rares, or a rare and a super rare and secret, rare and alt. You could get a significant portion of what you wanted to get out of that set from a box, because you may be needing 4 of the same type of super rare, sorry, but the rest of the stuff might just be commons and uncommons, right? Think Crossheart. You can make almost an entire Crossheart deck from a single box. You might just be missing one or two of each tamer.
So I think from personal experience, because when I first was jumping this game, I was trying to figure out what was like the ideal number of boxes you would need to finish the majority of your playsets. And I kind of came down to, at least in my personal experience, 3 boxes is the ideal number of boxes you would have to purchase to guarantee that you get a playset of every common and every uncommon and majority of SRs.
I would agree with that, because I have bought 3 boxes for most set. Personally, I purchase at minimum maybe 4 boxes because that guarantees me all my commons, uncommons, and rares. I think the only instance where it didn't was BT7, but that was because they shoehorned in the promo, like Digidestined megas, and they took the spot of a rare, and I think they took the spot of 3 rares, so I didn't get all the rares out of 4 boxes for some reason. But I usually buy 4 boxes because that guarantees me every common, uncommon, rare, and at least, I think from experience, it guarantees me a play set of at least 3 of the supers from the set. And then I'll also get a bunch of alt arts, which I can then sell on to recoup some of the loss.
Or put towards
one. Yeah, or put, yeah. I mean, typically I'd probably just sell them off and use that money to buy singles of what I'm missing.
I think it ultimately comes down to what are you looking for within that set. I think if you're kind of not looking for anything specific and you're kind of just looking to fill the pool, it's always going to be a little bit more worth it to buy the box, assuming you're trying to immediately get that instant claim on cards. If you're kind of just doing it with the slow burn where you're participating in locals, you're gaining store credit slowly, you could burn the store credit towards packs as you're winning. I can't think of very many instances though where I would want to grab a pack over a box, but that's usually because my personal experience, I start off with boxes whenever a new set comes out. I grab my 3 boxes, I start cracking, and then I find it just infinitely more advantageous to look for the specific cards rather than trying to crack packs.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. However, the reason why I ask is because I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this as well, where people start saying that when they grow older, since they start just buying boxes because they have the money, they miss the nostalgia of when they were young, buying single packs and being like, oh, what am I going to get? Do I just get an amazing hit out of this or nothing at all? Personally, I don't understand it. I'm like, no, because when I look back, I just hate my life every single time I bought a single pack. I'm fine with getting the box.
I also don't understand that, but that's probably because I wasn't really part of any sort of TCG, and I didn't really collect cards all the way up until I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe a year and a bit before I started playing Digimon. Like, that was the only time I ever... And I mean, when I say I played Yu-Gi-Oh!, I didn't really play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I think I may have attended 1 locals, and then I jumped on Digimon. Because obviously, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players very sweaty, not in terms of actual like bodily functions. I meant like they are very good at what they do. And me coming in
plays Yu-Gi-Oh! You just stop your opponent from playing.
That is very true. Me coming in all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and I'm like, I'm gonna play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Guys, and then I go in with my Dino Wrestler deck, and I get sweated on by a bunch of dudes who've been playing for 10 years. Like, I started buying Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards when Toon Chaos came out, right?
Oh boy.
So like very recently. And it did not take me long to jump off of Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's kind of, I had more nostalgia for Digimon, and 2, the community overall seemed better to me, at least. And because it was relatively new, I could be one of those sweaty guys.
Oh no. I think that community for Yu-Gi-Oh! has quite abruptly moved to One Piece right now, so I'm not saying One Piece is a toxic community. I'm still playing it. It's still pretty fun. But I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Has just reached that point where it's not worth it to keep going just yet.
Like, I'll show Yu-Gi-Oh! Some love, right? We gotta have some balance here. Like, I know why I like Yu-Gi-Oh! I know why deep down I still like Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit. And it's because the artwork is one. They have a unique artwork that's different from other games, but also there is something about the intricacy of the game. So between the amount of negations, the whole spell speeds, different monsters have spell speed 2 or spell speed 1. That's interesting, but for me it's a matter of one, it's almost unless you always place very high in regionals, it's almost impossible to recoup your costs. Buying the cards are expensive, and different rarities of the same card is still the same artwork. So I'm just like, don't really want to go back.
I will say that is the one thing I particularly like about Yu-Gi-Oh! Over many other TCGs is that they're not afraid of just endlessly reprinting cards.
So I feel like with that, yes, they do reprint like the same card in every rarity under the sun. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Also does have, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments here, but I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh! Has like 12 different rarities, even more, which invites a plethora of different price points. The thing I like that Magic does is any form of like promo that you receive through pre-release or whatnot, these aren't brand new cards. These are just reprints of cards already in the set. So in that way, it's kind of like Magic the Gathering's attempt at doing like low-key reprints. But there's always going to be those certain cards that you see reprints in like every set, every other set, and Magic's another really healthy one like that for most things outside of, the old school cards, and that is an entirely different discussion that I'm not going to start. But that's the one thing I'll say with Digimon that I'm not fond of is the promos, because a lot of the promos that they print, they're not reprints, they're brand new cards that are very, very much, for the most part, heavily staples. Which is a strong contrast between like Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, Digimon. Digimon uses the promos as another outlet to release brand new cards, whereas Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, I know I'm missing other card games, but they print all these extra cards in succession, but the price points don't always shift. And I think the best example for Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be like Forbidden Droplet. That's a card that like went from, it's dropped. It went from like 200 something each to, I think now they're sitting at like 33, 35 a piece. And that is a very strong staple card.
Yeah, I don't think brand new cards should ever be pricing. I don't think a promo card should ever be pricing for anything. Promo cards, they shouldn't be, I guess, the easiest thing to obtain. It's kind of why they're promos. Like, you should have to put in some, amount of work for it. But like I think it was TP5 or TP6, the one that had the Ghost Game promos, right? That is, those promos specifically are insanely difficult to get. Because it's one card per pack, one pack per locals, and at least over where I am, there's not a whole lot of them going around. And the Gamamons and the heroes and all that, those are integral parts of that deck being able to function. Like, to a certain extent, the promos that are that are in the reprint set in Japan, like those, the RB cards, those can maybe to a certain extent take the place of the cards that they have currently. But if you're wanting your deck to function properly, those cards are essential. They haven't been power crept out. So the fact that they were basically an RNG sort of prize is ridiculous to me, because it just means that those cards are insanely difficult to get. They're not accessible. And it just means that overall the deck is not played. Because Bandai basically made it impossible to get the cards, people aren't playing.
I partially agree with you, but specifically that example, I'm on the fence, only because I really enjoyed that, let's call it season, right? Because during that time, I remember I joined every locals, regardless of whether the pricing was store credit or if it was booster packs, just because I knew the probability of me making back entry with just a participation pack was very high because of those cards. And I don't really think it's that much of a gatekeep. Well, depending on region, because like you said, right, there wasn't a lot of supply in New Zealand. But here, I think every locals I went to, right, they never said, oh, sorry, we're out. They always had packs to give out. And ideally, I would say, if in the beginning, it was, like beginning of the season, it was like that, just like how most TPs are very expensive, and by the end of it, it ends like how it is now with the whole Chumon, Colamon, Salamon, where stores just like here, just take 3. Everyone gets 3 participation packs for entering, right? I think it works out fine.
Yeah, I mean, this most recent set of tournament packs was a pretty bad one. I think the last 2 rounds of tournament packs have been quite bad. I think that's been ever since the Ghost game ones. Like, people just don't see the value in them anymore. And I think it's also, to a certain extent, they're putting cards in that people just don't want to play. Like, I think from the most recent one, the Chumon, that is probably the one that'll be played the most out of that, because didn't they have Woodmon in both the last 2 of them?
Yep.
It was Minomon as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, people don't want to play Woodmon. It's inferior to the current green blocker of Kabuterimon because it's cheaper, and your blocker having higher DP outside of black doesn't matter because your blocker is basically single use.
I think potentially the reason why there's a difference of Woodmon, now I don't know because I'm not a Bloomlord player, is because I think Woodmon's vegetation, whereas Kabuterimon's insectoid.
You would probably be right. I can look this up. I'm not going to.
Fair.
But yeah, I do think you're right. I think it is vegetation, but at the same time, you don't really need the blockers.
You're right.
In fact, if Bloomlord does, or Bloom Hydra does want to have blockers, I think BT 12 is getting a blocker that they're able to just slap down.
That is Cherrymon.
Yakimon.
No, I'm just saying, like, Bloomlord does not need blockers. It plays Cherrymon.
Yeah,
well,
redirection.
Yeah, exactly, right? And to a certain extent, that's even better than blocking, right? Because there are some cards that can get around blockers, or they can blow up a blocker. But with Cherrymon, it's not a blocker. It's not blocking. It's redirecting. So to a certain extent, it is actually better. But yeah, I mean, there's just way better cards than the cards that they put in the current tournament packs. But older tournament packs were, I'd say they were pretty good. I remember back in BT, I want to say it was BT 5, might have been BT 6. Back when I was playing my blue-green Imperial Dramon deck using the EX1 Imperial Dramon stuff. Like, I think the tournament pack at the time had a Stingmon in it, and I was like super interested in getting that Stingmon.
$25 one, or when it used to be $25.
Jeez.
Probably, yeah, probably that one. I really wanted that Stingmon, right? But there's just nothing in the current tournament packs that are worth it to me. So if we're going off of, back to the original question, is it worth it? For me, the tournament pack, if I'm entering a locals, not worth it. The testing I get done playing games against the other people at the store, that's worth it. The socializing with the other guys at the store, that's worth it. The friends that I've made at the store, socializing and testing, that's worth it. The cards themselves, I could give or take, honestly. The worth for Digimon is not in the money.
So I think it really just comes down to what you're in it for.
Yeah. So like someone like more inclined to tracking the value of their pulls like Andrew, he might see the value in it as monetary, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but he has also tracked it to the point where he isn't in the hole as much as, someone like maybe me or definitely you, TJ.
Okay. Speaking of, you know what? We talked about Chumon. Alright. I hunted for 12 Chumons. That's not too bad. I mean, that's weird.
12?
Okay. That's 3 playsets. Every deck I play is black. There is a deck specifically going to be using 4 of them in this set coming up in BT11 with the King Sukamon. Is that what they're called?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they play 4 of them in there. I'm like, okay, this artwork's awesome. What I didn't account for was the initial price, which was $20 a piece. No, I did not buy all 12 for $20 a piece. I know there are some people listening right now who are horrified, but I am ashamed to say I did buy a couple of them for $20 a piece, and in my eyes that was completely worth it because I have a problem. I like black alt arts, and I was really hoping I'd have a stronger argument here.
Are you looking for any more of those Chumons? I think I got two. I'll give you a good deal, $19.
Dear God, no. I think now they're like $2 a piece.
Yeah.
No, I'm fucking with you. I'd probably just give them to you for free, honestly, because I don't need them. But that Chumon, out of that tournament pack, that is the one that I would have wanted.
Yes.
But I'm never going to play it. I don't really have a whole lot of. I think the only black decks I currently play or have any interest in playing is Ragnar Lordmon and Dark Knightmon. Right? You can technically play Chumon and Dark Knightmon, but probably wouldn't. I haven't seen many lists use it.
I think at most I've seen 2, but there's no way in hell you're playing them in Ragnar Lord.
No way. No. I think what I'm playing in the Dark Knightmon for an alternate rookie outside of just the monitor mon is the Chikurimon from the structure deck. The one that doesn't allow to reduce play costs.
Yes.
Obviously that's a big thing right now.
So
One thing I will say is that Chumon for 20 is still not as bad as Jagamon for 15.
No way. Jagamon is not $15.
When it first came out, hell yeah. Like the tournament pack?
Who was playing Jagamon? No one's played Jagamon since like BT3.
I will
Green?
say the artwork is amazing, though.
It is good. But I don't even think Jagamon is going to be played with the upcoming Jagamon support stuff that's coming out in BT12, because it just doesn't synergize with what that is.
I haven't taken enough time to look at the green stuff. Been a little bit preoccupied with BT11 and the inevitable pain of having to find 35 Vemmons of the foil variety, so...
yeah, good luck with that, buddy.
Anything past that's kind of out of my frame of mind right now.
Alright, one more before we go into our little mini game, which is it worth it to buy singles from locals, or is it more worth it to buy singles from eBay, Discord, or Facebook?
I think personally, if I can get them from the community first, I would prefer that, just because A, you avoid tax, B, you build relations, which again is a plus. But I don't think I will ever go to eBay to find cards, just because that's usually the first place the scalpers go to post their cards. Now, I'm not saying everybody who uses eBay is a scalper, but price-wise, I think I'm more comfortable with going through the community via Facebook Market or via our very own BrickCity Discord. Or I'd rather just go to a store, because at least if I go to my locals, I'm, helping out my local in the best way you possibly can, which is buying their product.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I don't buy a lot from community members. If I'm trying to find something that's particularly difficult to get, I think I bought 2 of the Evo Cup Koromons, the alt art, the really expensive one. I had to buy some of those from just a community member, because you obviously wouldn't be able to buy them from a local store. They wouldn't have it. And if they did have it, it would sell out immediately. But if I'm buying bulk commons, uncommons, and rares, I'll probably go from a store, because if you're trying to buy that stuff from someone from the community, they probably wouldn't even post that they're selling that kind of stuff, because they're only posting to sell the valuable things, right? Mr. Ware said that he was wanting to buy, would you say 35 foil Vemmons? I reckon people would probably post up that they have foil Vemmons, right? But no one's going to post up that they have 35 non-foil Vemmons. You'd have to go to your locals and say, hey, do you guys have any non-foil Vemmons? And they'd probably pull up a huge box, because I think it's just an uncommon, right? Or a common.
Yeah.
You might actually be wrong there, because I keep bringing this up when people make the examples. Don't forget searchers were going for $1 a piece.
Which searcher?
D-Reaper.
Oh, yeah,
Searcher.
yeah. The Reaper searcher. Yeah. I guess probably Vemmon and that kind of stuff. It's probably a bad example. Level 5 Eosmon, Searcher, and Vemmon. All these cards that you can play multiple of over the card limit in a deck. Those would be ones that people might post up. I have 25 level 5 Eosmons. I'll sell them to you for, I don't know, $10 or whatever. Probably not worth that, but I think if anything outside of an alt art or a super and above, that is probably what I would go to the community for, because that's where I'd have a better chance of finding it for one, and also getting value for money, right? Because a store would probably take whatever the highest price on like TCG Player is. Like I think back in the early days of Digimon, I bought a Buildimon, and the store owner was like, I'll sell it to you for like TCG converted, and I paid more than I'm willing to say for that card, even though it wasn't one that I used. It was just a card that I really liked.
Fair enough. For me, it's a very complicated thing. I will buy from locals as long as it's only maximum $5 to maybe $10 above what TCG lowest unconverted is. Because I just treat that difference as shipping cost, and then also for having the card immediately. The issue is the issue I have with eBay, Discord, and Facebook. eBay, like TJ said, there's the potential of scalping, but for me, it's more the issue of like, in most cases, they're complete strangers, right? And I just don't have trust for people I've never met before. So there's always the anxiety of like, man, am I gonna see this card or not? And then that's the issue, where I'm like, I have to weigh the difference between how much am I saving versus what's the risk of me not losing everything altogether.
Yeah, that would be another factor that you would have to take in.
I mean, I guess when it comes to purchasing from the community, there is only so much that someone can get away with scamming like this. I feel like you might be able to get away with 2 or 3 instances of actively scamming people before the community sort of gets wise and says, hey, don't trust this person. And they have to start making like fake profiles, and then everyone in the community starts going, hey, I want to get a reference check on everybody that I ever have any sort of dealings with from now on. So I feel like when it comes to the community, if you're purchasing off of things like Facebook, where there is to a certain extent a sense of community outside of things like eBay, you probably could get pretty good deals without the risk of being scammed or, you know, not receiving your product or whatever. Whereas with a legitimate business, again, like you said, you have the convenience of getting the card in hand at the time you pay for it. So it's you know, sort of swings and roundabouts, right? There's give and take with each example.
I would still say, even with the community, you should be careful because, like, didn't Alex say they was going to send cards to you and it just never arrived?
You know what? You know what? That did happen. And I'm going to take this platform as a moment to actively call out AP Mark. Hey man, I didn't receive my cards. And on all reference checks from... No, I'm kidding. That's not his fault. I think there were delays with the ports over here. I mean, I've lost stuff in the mail before. I bought something off of TCG Player one time. It was actually a lot of money, and it kept bouncing around different international distribution centers in America. And then at one day it just said delivered.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then I just never got those cards. So I don't buy off TCG Player anymore. But yeah, no, I've lost mail. It does definitely sway my opinion on whether or not I would buy from a legitimate store that I could just get the card in hand, or if I could just meet someone at a locals and say like, hey man, I'm looking for this card, and they're like, oh, I have that card, and I have done that before. Yeah, it's like I said, it's sort of it has its give and take for what you do. And Alex, I would definitely like my money back, all the cards, please.
TJ, I think you were trying to tell your story.
Sorry, I just find it funny. Alex gets brought up every podcast, and we just throw shade at him.
It's never good.
it's like poor guy. I hope people
who are people who are not in our community are going to be like, man, this Alex guy sucks, and I need you to know, valid, incredibly valid. He does suck.
Alex is a wonderful human.
No.
I love him.
No. You can say this all you want, but I'll speak the truth, right? He is not a great guy. If he was a great guy, he would have been on this episode like he said he was to defend himself. But you know what? I told him about it. He's like, I don't need to defend myself. It's all true. I'm going to go to a ski resort now.
He's going to ask you to cut this out.
Dude, it's a fact. Look, when, chances are you're going to see him at locals before we record the next episode. Ask him, did he go to a ski resort instead of coming on to episode 3 of the podcast? Just don't let him say anything else. Just tell him to answer that question.
Let me channel AP Mark right now. I'm going to channel Alex. Hey, fucker, listen here, buddy.
That was terrifying.
That is very accurate. That is how he's going to start it.
Yeah. Hey, fucker, how dare you?
We're gonna need some mass censorships for this.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
That's okay. Alright, so, the mini game. Because I know there's some listeners that like us throwing shade. So, what this game is, I'm going to name a deck, and you guys are going to tell me what you think the general personality of a player who plays that deck is like. Alright, so first up, Lilith Loop.
Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Oh, Jesus.
I was thinking the same thing.
Lilith is absolutely a Yu-Gi-Oh player, because that is a deck where it's like, my opponent doesn't get to play, this is my game. It's very much a, your turn doesn't start for another 15 minutes, how about you go get some food?
And
Yeah.
to preference, it is a toxic Yu-Gi-Oh player.
It very much reminds me of, I don't know if you guys ever saw this video, and I don't know how I would search for it, but it's a video of some guy, and it's like the epitome of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? This guy he's playing a bunch of magic cards that I'm assuming are probably all banned now, that allow him to just cycle through his deck, and he takes a whole bunch of stuff, and he trashes a whole bunch of things, and then he plays 3 cards at the end, which I think deal damage directly to your opponent based on how many cards you have in trash. And his turn is basically 15 minutes of him just cycling through his deck, trashing the entire thing, just to get these 3 cards, so that he has no cards in deck, these 3 cards in his back row, and then he just passes turn, activates all of them, and ends his opponent's turn. Like, that's what Lilith Loop is to me. It's just my opponent doing a whole bunch of things, and then as soon as it becomes my turn, I lose.
I mean, you just have that super uphill battle.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think I've faced off against, and I don't want to throw any more shade at him, so I'm not going to name him. But
He shall not be named.
Yeah, I've versed Voldemort playing Lilith Loop, and I feel like I've given him 1 memory, and he's still won, pulling off the loop, because it's just at the time at least, it was just that good, that consistent.
All right, next up, Rookie Rush players.
Children?
Brainlet.
Okay.
I wanted to say like Unga Bunga, but that's red players.
Hey man, I take offense to that. That's my people's word. You cannot use it.
I want to say monkeys together strong, because that's what a friend of mine says whenever he plays War Greymon, but I'm worried people might take that wrong.
What
Yeah.
together? There's only 1 stack.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. Yeah. Rookie Rush players, it's definitely, it's a very low skill ceiling, right?
Say it. You want to say IQ.
Not well. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, right?
No.
Like you have a Rookie Rush type deck in every card game to a certain extent, right?
No, you're right.
Actually looking for an answer here, guys.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I was trying to actually think of like valid like responses, and I think Magic, it's red. You play in Modern, you just play red aggro, and all of your attackers are like 1 cost people who just have haste, which means they can attack as soon as you slap them on the board. And you're just doing that over and over again, and then you're throwing lightning bolts at them.
And like all of the Rookie Rush that was played back in the day, they were all very low rarity cards, right? They were all like 2-drop, 1 to Evo, 5k rookie.
Yeah, and I think the most like expensive card in there was Puppetmon.
Yeah. People would play Puppetmon because of the like drop it for 10, suspend all of your opponent's Digimon, and it basically just buys you a turn. Where, if you've played a bunch of Digimon, your opponent can't really answer you unless they have something in the back row, or I don't even think at the time there were any particularly powerful option cards to deal with it, but it was such a problem back in the day that they had to actively make cards that would stop rookies from being able to do anything.
No, that is true.
Here's an interesting question, though. All right, so would you say there's any difference between the green-yellow Rookie Rush player from BT5, Command D Brigade players, and X-Cross players, X-Cross Heart?
Oh crap, I just threw shade on myself. I forgot about D Brigade.
So D Brigade, it does technically, I guess you could say, would fall under what could be seen as a Rookie Rush deck. I feel like it's probably more of a Rookie Beatdown than it is a Rookie Rush, because at least in what I've seen of D Brigade now, not so much what it was a couple sets ago, but what it is now is it is building a stack, because you do get effects off of doing that. So your ratios are similar to a regular deck than it would be to a Rookie Rush deck, where every card was either an option, a champion, or mostly rookies.
I kind of have to disagree. Well, to a degree. You are correct. There is a certain degree of build-up, but you're still playing like 20-something rookies, which is like very heavy.
And yeah, don't try to pretend like D Brigade isn't just Commander on swing. Oh, cool. Next Commander on swing. Next turn I'm gonna play another Commandmon. Next turn, raised Commandmon. Swing again. That's pretty much the game.
Sometimes, if you're feeling frisky, you digivolve them into a Sealsdramon, and then you swing with jamming.
Yeah. And then you digivolve over the top of that, and then all of your Commandmon get rush.
No one's doing that.
I do.
Some people do that. That's why I'm saying it's more of a rookie beatdown than it is a rookie rush, because you're not like hard dropping a lot of stuff. Memory at least, you're more using effects to play Commandramons free when they die. Crossheart, again, I don't know if I would classify that as a rookie rush deck. I'd say it's probably more of, I mean, if anything, it's a champion rush deck. But again, I think it's more of a beatdown than it is a rush. And I mean, that was really only when Cross 4 was at it max of 4 copies per deck. Since then, it's had to adapt, and people use more Cross 5, and at that point it is more of a legitimate deck. It's more of a Tamer Rush than anything else.
So I think we can just agree Rookie Rush kind of stopped being Rookie Rush and kind of started to define itself within different colors.
Yeah. It's not so much that it's the rookie, it's I guess maybe the archetype that the rookie is in that's important nowadays, not so much that it is a rookie in and of itself. Because you wouldn't play anything other than Commandramon and D-Brigade, and you wouldn't play anything other than a Crossheart, type Digimon in a Crossheart deck. Whereas green, yellow, Rookie Rush back in the day, I mean, everyone kind of had the same list, but I think a couple of people may have thrown in the security champions, from BT3, I think it was, that would play themselves out of security. Just for a little bit of spice, but for the most part it was just all option cards for recovery and rookies for rushing.
All right, how about Yellow Hybrid?
I wanted to say Kevin. Oh God.
I mean, I guess it depends on what version of Yellow Hybrid. Are we talking about Yellow Hybrid at its peak?
Let's say both.
Because I didn't really face off against a lot of Yellow Hybrid at its peak. There was a guy who would go to my locals who would play Yellow Hybrid even after Jet Sylphie got limited. Andrew in his head is saying free my girl, but
No, I won't.
Really?
No.
You don't think Jet Sylphie should be unlimited?
No, it's fine, because my thoughts about Yellow Hybrid is that Yellow Hybrid players are just secretly security control players, but too afraid to go all the way.
That's fair enough, actually. But yeah, this guy who would come to my locals after Yellow Hybrid got its limit on Jet Sylphie, he switched to more of a red base for his Yellow Hybrid, where he would use Gigimon and Guilmon for the draw, and then he would use Sunrise Buster to play out his Tamers and all that kind of stuff. And then he quit the game when Sunrise Buster got limited.
Well, that's painful. So
Yeah.
are we going with commitment issues?
That's what I'm saying.
Or I like that. It's a funny title for it.
How about OTK players? So we're talking like Melga, Borgre X, Alphamon before the nerf, Grandis, those boys.
Sweaty.
Yeah. Those are the people who have enough time and money.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement that they're the rich boys. All right.
Yeah.
How about Bloomlord and also Red Bloomlord? In which case, I mean Jessmon.
I was gonna say Red Bloomlord. What's that?
Sweaty, but doing it with style.
Yeah, I'd say Chessmon players at least would be people who legitimately enjoy the game. Like Chessmon decks nowadays take full effect of every ability that the deck can, and the deck is basically like a Swiss Army knife, right?
Oh, sorry.
go for it.
I would say Jessmon is competitive, but on hard mode.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair way of putting it. Yeah, like it is a
Your
competitive deck, but
consistency is terrible.
yeah. I mean, even with the search and the draws, like the deck itself, and this is even when BT6 Jessmon was a thing. Like if you ever had a mirror match for Jessmon, it was always just like who could get their perfect stack, right? Like I remember going up against multiple Jessmon players, and it was like, did I get the Greymon with the Sec +1? Did I get Savior Huckmon for the restand? Do I have Blitz Omni in hand? If any of these things is false, then I don't win.
I want to say for Bloomlord, it's like the middle child in a Grandis family. Nobody really pays attention to it. They're just kind of like, oh, look, Grandis.
You know what? When you said that, I was like, when you started saying that, I was like, I have no idea where he's going with this. But when you finished, I completely agree. I absolutely think that. I feel like Bloomlord is a very strong deck, but because its stronger older brother Grandis is still, prominent in today's meta, it's not being played as much.
I have a different take on this. I agree that Jessmon is in hard mode. I just think Bloomlord is trying to be Jesmon, but wants to trick everyone into believing that they're smarter. For people who do not play either Jesmon or Bloomlord, the best analogy I can give you is someone that drives a automatic car, but keeps their hand on the shift to pretend like it's manual.
That's funny. I like that.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Okay. How about Beelstar?
Those are people who want to play SecCon but can't commit to it.
I was going to say people who love False Hope, because if they think that deck is still as relevant as it once was, that's just painful.
I thought it's just for the waifu.
Oh.
It do be a waifu card. That is absolutely right.
Weird. Yeah, you're right.
Like, I know I have Beelstar. I don't play for the SecCon stuff. I play because, pretty lady.
But you get what I'm saying with the whole security control thing, right?
Yes, I do. I 100% do.
Right, it's mostly
Secon, but fair, because you can't recover.
Would you say it's fair?
Well, you can't recover, and to be fair, they did release a card that literally says, "Hey, Three Musketeers, how about no?"
No, that's not what it does. I just don't want you to deck out. I'm helping you out.
It's so considerate, yeah.
Alright, we're gonna have a little bit of friendly fire. Machine Dramon.
Hey, what the fuck?
Machine Dramon.
I mean, I want to say me, but now I'm scared as to what the fuck that entails. Oh shit, I'm swearing. Oh shit, I did it again.
Here, I'll say it first. I'll give my opinion first. It's the angsty kid in high school. That's what it is.
No, I don't know if I would agree with that. I feel like there's other decks you could associate with angst. I think Machine Dramon players, honestly, I think they're the ones who are the most technical with the game to a certain extent, because I've played Machine Dramon, and I get tired at the end of it.
So I have my response.
Okay.
But it's going to contradict him instantly.
Okay, go for it, man.
What? You mean I have to follow levels going up?
Yeah.
The hell with that.
I was like, what technical? It's just, Machine Dramon for 12, game back memory.
Whoa,
but you're juggling things in hand and in trash, right? Your deck list is packed with a lot of essential stuff. You don't really have a lot of room for like non-essential stuff, like not like tamers for argument's sake. I think you might play, from what I've seen and when I played Machine Dramon, which was not the current Machine Dramon, but like back in I think maybe EX3 Machine Dramon before they got the new Chaos Dramon. It was, I think you would play maybe like 1 or 2 Kazu and 1 or 2 Analog Youth, no memory setter, because not enough room.
It's good,
right?
TG.
Like, so you had to be very careful with how you played.
I think it's also another way to look at it is when you really want to like risk that auto lose, like when you draw your opening hand and it's 5 ultimates and you're just like, okay, guess I'll lose. It's like you enjoy the suffering to a certain degree. But I know for me, like, it was just like, oh, I like Machine Dramon because big bad evil villain.
I'm just salty because you played Machine Dramon against me when I was using Yellow Hybrid at locals.
Oh, BT7?
Yeah.
A lot of people are mad. Unfortunately, I think I did make 2 people quit Yellow Hybrid because they're like, what the hell? This is the only locals I've been to where someone's actually playing Machine Dramon. But it is what it is.
Blue Hybrid players.
Get the hell out.
Okay, how about BT7, BT8 Blue Hybrid versus Blue Hybrid now?
Blue Hybrid now is, why are you still here? Jump onto Blue Flare already.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think Blue Hybrid BT7, BT8 would be, okay, hurry up, I'll wait.
Yeah, I think I think currently Blue Hybrid players a little bit stuck in the past. Blue Flare is absolutely superior. Blue Hybrid, not to say that Blue Hybrid doesn't have its place, but yeah, no, Blue Flare is absolutely better. They're clinging to the past, to a time that no longer exists. Like, I remember I played BT6 Jesmon at a tournament, like, just before Savior Heart got banned, and I got demolished. Like, this wasn't even particularly long after the set was released, but, like, the newer support for other stuff just absolutely got demolished. Because I was holding on for hope that the deck that was, like, basically, like, Tier 2 or Tier 1 in, the BT6 meta was still going to carry me through to the end.
I think Blue Hybrid now, if you're still playing Blue Hybrid, you're literally on that copium. But
absolutely,
yeah,
cope deck.
BT7, BT8 Blue Hybrid, legit, I would say Yu-Gi-Oh player at that point.
Yeah,
Because I remember...
if we're able to reuse titles, absolutely Yu-Gi-Oh player.
100%. I remember when I played that and I was just winning, and every time I go past turn, they're like, can't do anything. I'm like, oh my god, this is what it feels like to be a Yu-Gi-Oh player and always winning. Jesus, it feels great. How about Mass Daemon?
Again, security control. Yeah. Waifu deck and security control player who doesn't want to admit that they play security control.
I would say Mass Daemon's just people who want to find an excuse to keep using Lucemon Chaos mode.
That's fair. They wanna get their investment for overpaying for Lucemon Chaos mode.
But I think Waifu might be a bit more accurate because, why else would you be playing Andromon, Lady Devonmon, and then Mass Daemon on top, right?
Yeah.
Now, to my dearest security control players.
Oh shit! I can't use that word. Hold on.
I believe you just said that.
I screwed up. Hold up. Angry chess player, or let's play forever.
How about let's make children cry?
I've said before, I say pacifism.
I would say angry little Asian man.
Oh,
how about that?
Well, all right.
Sadistic.
You know what? I would say utilizing their money, using all 50 minutes. I paid $5.
Sadistic.
I need you to know, Andrew, you're such a bastard.
Dude, it's Vegas Simulator. All right, you just go to Vegas. Just roll, spin the wheel. What you get?
My word.
We really gotta censor that.
I'll work on it.
That was such an impulse move on my part.
Yeah.
Dude, when you said that, I really thought back to you play Machine Drum against my security control at locals, and your you built your Machine Drum swing, Chaos Degrade, damn it. Built it again, swung again, another Chaos Degrade. He's like, why? Why are there two in there?
Yeah, I think that was game ending too.
Oh yeah. Good times.
For who?
You just don't attack, man.
Okay, I get it.
You didn't need to attack.
But how am I supposed to win?
You don't. You just tie.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Yep.
So what you've made me realize is that security control is the only way to play Digimon, because no one wins. And if no one wins, everyone's a winner.
What?
Andrew, you're a hero.
Thanks. That's all I wanted to hear.
Gentleman and a scholar, and I commend you for your efforts in making children cry.
I wouldn't say that. I'm not making them cry. I'm teaching them about the real world.
How does my Durant taste?
Yes.
I
Oh,
was just about to say that. What the hell?
Yeah.
there's one security control story that Alex actually loves quite a lot. It was because I know people might not know, but in BrickCity, whenever there's a online regionals or Ulti Cup, after every round we always go into chat and we just talk about what happened. And there was one guy that joined in, and I guess he lost his security control the past round, and he was just going off about like, it's such a dumb deck, all this other stuff. And Alex was there too, and I just couldn't help myself, so I did the same stuff as always. I'm like, no, it's a pacifist deck, we don't attack. And this guy was just getting angry and angrier. He got to the point where he's like, I wish every second player got killed. And I remember, even after he said that, all I told him was, look, all I can explain to you is this, right? As a second player, we tell you Yamate, but you don't, and you keep saying Tatakai. And it just happens. And, you lose your Digimon. He left the call.
I hate you so much right now.
He left the call. Oh my god, it's great.
I feel like the mention of SetCon has instilled quite a few negative emotions in us today.
Yeah. I don't feel too great now. I'm gonna be honest. I was pretty hyped. I was like, hey man, I'm on the pod. I'm giving my opinions. We're discussing things. We're having a good time. And then you had to come in here and make it about yourself.
We all
use some unsavory words.
We all gave our opinions on certain decks. I mean, we had fun. We were roasting Lilith. We roasted Rookie Rush players.
We roasted Alex specifically.
No, you roasted Alex. I sat here.
Well, Alex, I don't know about Rose. I feel like we were just telling the truth.
Hey, Alex, love you, buddy.
Please don't forget to bring my cards.
Is this gonna go up before then? Oh, right, yeah. My cards.
Yeah.
I actually did buy some cards off of him recently. I really hope those come through.
I asked him to pick up cards for me because I didn't want to travel downtown.
Wow. What are you, his wife?
No, I don't want to drive in Toronto. I want to save gas money. Thanks for joining us today, Tim. It was great having you here.
It was great being on, guys.
I do want everyone to know that we now have 2 guests that confirm Alex is not a great guy. QB Blitz and DedotatedWam. So, I'm just saying.
What the hell?
He's gonna be so mad when he hears this.
Dude, the best thing is...
You can't say like half those things.
Dude, I cut the rest, and we're ending with this. It's fine.
Okay, yeah. Alex, I still love you.
That's all the time we have for today. Until next time.